notification out. When I say submit, it tells me email is required. Now when we try to type something that is not an email, it says so please enter a valid email until I make it valid. So let's say Gudu micro projects at gmail.com. so that the error disappears. So that is that. We submit till we can see the email. So that is that, guys. Let's develop this using React Hook Form version 7. If you want to type along with me, kindly install the following. 1. npm install tailwind css / forms. Then 2. npm install React Hook Form. Now, after installing the Tailwind CSS form, it has an extra thing to do. Let's go to Google. I'll show you something quick. npm install Tailwind forms. Good. Now over here, now let's check this out. Now after installing the forms, the npm install the form, then we have another thing to do, which we need to copy the require. This one, we copy there and send it to our tailwind.config. So I'm going to paste it here. Good. So that is that. If you have issues with installing Tailwind itself, I have a video on Tailwind that I'll add to the description below. You can check it out. So that is that, guys. With all said and done, let's begin. Thank you very much. Let's begin by creating two folders in our SLC folder. We'll call the first one assets. Then call the second one components. So now let's take the first one, assets. Now in this project we have no images or spinners, so we leave it blank. Move to the second one and create a file and call it validate email app.js. Good. Now RAFCE, a boilerplate. Good. Instead of ordinary div, why don't you make it React fragment? So we say React fragment. Good. So inside that we create a section. Good. Sorry. Good. So inside this section we can have our div now. Then say hello. Good. Now let's link that to the app.js to view on the screen. So we call validate email app. Good. Now let's import that. So import validate app from where? From components. Then good. So let's check our screen to see if we got hello on the screen. Great, we got hello on the screen, means we're ready to go. So let's put things back to shape because it's mobile first. So let's do that. Good. Good, guys, so we're ready to go. So instead of hello, let's create a background for this div. We say class name equals, let's give it bg white. Then let's give it width, let's give it auto, and let's give it mx, let's make it 5. Then height, let's give it 96. Good. Let's give margin tab 20. Then let's make it rounded LG. Good. Now let's create the header. Okay, so inside that we work on our header. So our header, we create a div, then we say div. So inside the div we can have our p tag, then we say validate email what input. Good. Let's give it a class name equals what, let's call it uppercase, then test for Excel, then font bold. So next, let's enter that. So let's give it a class name, then say flex, and say justify center, then what, item center. Good. Let's give it a height of 20. Good. I think that is cool. So next, let's work on the body. So we move from the header and create the body. So with our body, what do we want? Let's create a div to handle the input. So inside that we can have our input. Then inside the input, we need a type. So we say type equals to our email. Good, that is that. Let's give it a class name. Good. Then let's give it placeholder. Good. Placeholder is what? Please enter your email. Good. Then a class name, let's give it height. So h, let's say 14, width, let's give it full. Then what again? Let's make it rounded. LG. Then what else? Good, let's create some margin. So I can go to the mother div. Oh, sorry, we don't have a mother div. I need to create another div. So let's copy this and put this in the div. So we say div here, then we put this in this. Good. So we can use this as another div. Okay. So that is that. So this is going to be a mother div. Then we say class name, and we say mx. Let's give it 5. Good. What next? Now we have our div here. Now let's create the button section. So we copy this, then get the button section out of that. So we say btn section. Okay. Paste it. The input now becomes what? Submit. Then the placeholder becomes this value. And the value is going to be what? Submit. Submit. Then class name. No, we don't need full. Do we need full? No, let's the height, maybe let's reduce the height a little to 10. Then the width, let's take to 5th. How about that? Good. Let's make it centered. So let's give it a class name equals what? Flex items center. Then justify center. Good. And let's give it some margin tab, MT. Let's give it 20. Okay, let's give the email to some margin tab. So let's give margin tab. We'll say MT 16. Good. So that is that. Let's give the submit a color. So we say submit class name, activity and section, get bg red 500, then test what, white, and font bold. So that is that, guys. Our input field is ready. Now we can begin our validation. To begin the validation, let's go to Google and call React hook form. Good. Now with React hook form, let's go inside. Let's go to get started. Now the npm install, we've done that already. So what to do next is to import the use form. Okay, so we import that. We go to, let me expand it. Okay, then we import it and we go back. What to do next? Now we need to handle events. Okay, let's copy the events too. Then we go back and paste it there. Good. So we say what? Handle events. Paste it there nicely. The next one is handle submit. Okay, handle submit. So go back and copy the submit. So const submit, we copy this too. We paste it there. No, it's console log data. I want us to use alert. Okay, so we say alert into bracket JSON dot stringify into bracket data. Good. Yeah. So that is that. Good. So now the form itself. Oh, I didn't bring form. Okay, so let's copy this and add form to it. So div to div, the mother div, let's copy it out, then create a form out of that. Yeah, I got it. Then I just create a form here. Form. Good. So inside that we can paste our div now. Good. So our form is ready. Now let's go back to the unsubmit. So we copy the unsubmit to and we go and paste it on the form. So over here we paste it here. Good. So that is that. Now let's check our screen to see how form is doing. So over here when we submit, we see an empty data. Good. Means we're ready to go. Now we can call our events. Let's check the sample events. It says what? Register example required. So we copy this example. Good. Then we paste it. So after the class name, we come down and paste it there. Good example. The bracket didn't come. Good. So that is that. Now let's change the name to what? Email. Email. Good. Now required true. So let's make it email is required. Email is what? Email required. UIRED. Good. So that is that. So what do we do next? Let's display the error. Okay. So we can look at the error sample. So this is how it's handled. Let's copy that too and paste it. down here beneath the input. Okay, so it's what example. So let's change the name to what email. Good. So and span, this message is required. So let's make the span dynamic. Good. So inside that we can say errors dot email dot message. Good. Good. Let's check it out if it works. So when we submit, it tells you email is required. Great. So let's add some class name to the error message. So we say here, we can say, give it a class name, and we say test sm, then test red 500. Good. What else? Let's check it out. Good. So when you say submit, it tells you email is required. Good. Now, aside the email is required, I want the border to turn to red. So with that, we make the class name to dynamic. So we go back to the class name for the input, and make it dynamic. And dynamic, we call the dynamic quote. Okay, we take the normal quote off and call the dynamic quote, which is under the escape button. So we take it off and take the dynamic quote answer there. So this is the code we're going to use. So we put the bracket there. So we put all of them inside a bracket. Okay, like this. Then now we call our dollar sign to bracket. Dollar sign good to bracket. To bracket what? Errors dot email and what? And let's give it the class name, the red class name. So we say focus what? Focus border what? Red 500. Also, let's change the ring to. So we say focus. We say ring red 500. Then finally, we change the border red 500. So let's check it out. Let's see. Good. So let's see. Good. So we say submit. You can see that the border also changes to red. Great. Next thing to do is to what? Handle the inputs that they use. Make sure the user types a valid email. So to do that, we call the pattern with a regular expression. So over here, after the required, we can say comma. Then we call pattern. Okay, so we say pattern. Pattern. Then we give it a value. Then the next one is what? The value here. Then comma. Then our next one is what? Message. Our message is what is going to be what? Please what? Enter a valid email. Good. Now the pattern, we need a regular expression. So we go to Google, then look for a regular expression to handle email. So let's go to Google, then look for, say, regular expression for email. Good. Let's open this one and see. Good. We have a sample here, overly simple email. Well, let's try this out. So copy that, then we paste it here. Okay, let's take /, paste it inside. Good. Cool. So let's check that out. Now you can see. Good. So when we start typing something, it needs to validate it as we type. Okay, so we don't need to submit before it validates the email. So let's call a trigger function to help us do that. So we call the trigger function after the register events. Okay, so after this bracket, we call the trigger function here. So we say on key app, that gives us a function for Good. So inside that we can say trigger to bracket, then your email here. So let's check it out. Trigger is not defined. Okay, let's go up and add trigger to the events. So we say trigger. Come on. Good. Let's check it out. So when I type anything, you can see that as I type, it tells me enter a valid email. So until I add make it valid, Gmail and AIL. Good. .com. Good. See that there. The error message disappears. When you say submit, you see your email. So that is that, guys. Finally, let's make it responsive then. Go. So to do that, you see, so let's make it responsive. We go to the mother div. Okay, the mother div, where are you? Okay, there's the mother div. So we can say at small screen, what do you want? Make the width full. Then at medium screen, what do you want? Make the width 4/5. Then same medium screen, make MX auto. Then at large screen, make the width 2/5. Then at same large screen, make the MX auto. Yeah, so that is that. Let's check it out. Good. So you can see. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for sticking through. Please don't forget to do good. Catch you in the next one. We say peace.